Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks everybody for the well wishes. Yeah. For those who didn't see my Twitter post, guess what I got for my birthday? A toothache. Yeah. But it's okay. It happens. But it did cause me to wake up a few times like last night, so I'm kind of sleepy, but I'm doing good. I think I'll just postpone tomorrow's shadow stream to next week. Give myself some extra time to rest it off. But yes, welcome everyone. I'm SpaceyBat, and today I leveled up. I'm now level 35. Yeah. Oh, thank you for understanding. Yeah. So, I still wanted to pop in today, just so we can hang out and maybe watch a few videos together, and you just kind of chat about my plans for the future. Thank you. Got cake? Yeah. My mom is making the cake tonight, and it's like an angel food cake. It's one of my favorite flavors. And we're probably gonna go with buttercream frosting this time too. I can't wait. Yeah, the thing I like about like angel food cake specifically is that it's like very lightweight. So that way we can have like a nice big dinner if we want it. We should still be able to eat it. And also my voice is a little bit shot from all the screaming I did yesterday. But that's better. Like my lymph nodes were very swollen right after yesterday's stream, but that is better now. Like the tooth bothers me more than my throat. Thank you for Brigard. Must have been some racing yesterday. Oh yes, F-Zero GX. There's nothing like it. It's extremely intense, and you really need to pay attention, because if you blink, or if you're distracted by something else for just like a split second, you can like fall off the track or like crash into something. Oh my gosh. I have a clip of the lightning half pipe, the one I posted to Twitter. I can share that after we hop over to the chat screen. Yeah, so we're just gonna have a comfy chatty batty stream today. Yes, and as we discovered, there are lives in the Grand Prix for no good reason. Supposedly, if you destroy opponents with the spin attack, you can get additional lives. But I never bothered to do that because it slows you down. Yeah, welcome everyone, thank you. Thank you, Alex, Epps, Helpsword, Haas, Scarab, Bandit, Nat, Russell, Jim Jr. Welcome! Oh my gosh, so many faces. It is like a birthday party in here. Alright, so first of all, let's do a little progress report on my goals and aspirations as a streamer, shall we? Let me hop over to the game screen. Belfagur, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Or I pronounced your name correctly. But okay, so this is the progress I've made. This is my list of goals from my debut day. I added just one new one, which is I want to debut on YouTube in the future. But we have done some really cool collabs, and I've gotten to meet some cool new people. So I'm happy with that so far. It's only been 6 months. But like, game design workshops, I definitely want to do them soon. Even if it's just like a small game on the side, outside of my main projects. I'm also working on a bunch of... I'm doing a lot of music practice behind the scenes too, so maybe the music album will come soon as well. And then I think art improvement will just come with the territory in terms of like game design workshops, because like drawing is one of the things I do as part of game creation, like pixel art specifically. So I think like those two go hand in hand. And then of course I also want to design like a cool car, still the Batmobile car. Sonic Central, is that, what is that? Is that like a stream, like a stream dedicated to Sonic stuff, like officially by Sega? Maybe we could do a watch along. I'd be down for that, as long as I'm not doing anything too strenuous. They say what's coming up, it's official. Nice. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Oh, yeah. I did do ASMR. Okay, I'll check that off the list. But yes, I also want to make smaller games. That also goes hand in hand with what my plans for like game design workshops. So I think once I actually start those, like doing game dev streams, I'll check off 3 of these. And I still want to get professional vocal trainings, just so that I don't wear my voice out too much. But you know, I also get kind of like self-conscious about my voice still, even though I know it sounds fine. But it's nice to know that, like, it would be nice to be able to like you know, like do a little bit of acting, depending on the context and occasion. And yeah, I'm really curious to see how like the YouTube community is, like for in terms of like game dev stuff. So that's something I want to do too. Nice. It is the Sonic equivalent of Nintendo Direct. Oh, nice. So this is the Sonic Direct. Okay. So let me uncheck the image. Where did I put it? Okay. So first of all, let me show you the reason why my voice is shot today. Yeah. Yeah, you blink and you're dead in this game. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking. I'm freaking terrified right now. Oh my gosh. 4th place. I'll take 4th place. Oh my god. Erica, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I'm just showing chat the reason why my voice is shot today. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It would seem that Dark Spacey is not as infallible as I thought. Okay, I'm fine.
Happy birthday, Bat.
I'll take water. Thank you, Event. Thank you so much for the well wishes and the 10 months. Oh my goodness. But yeah, F-Zero GX it's a lot. It's very intense. One of the most intense racing games I've ever played, but it's so much fun. I want to play it again sometime. Oh yeah, I saw the Hot Wheels game. I haven't played a recent Hot Wheels game, but it seems like it's kind of like, you know, it's got that F-Zero style of track design with like the loops and the twists and the turns. So I'd love to try that sometime too. Yup. That's why. Louise!
Happy birthday, Spacey. If I could, I would hug you because you're so cute. Spacey56, love ya.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Also, one of my good friends and colleagues, Edwin Tiong, who is the voice actor for the Magister, also wished me a happy birthday and also shared like a recent like review video of Freedom Planet 2 that somebody made. It's around 40 minutes long, but I'm really curious to see what they say. He said that they have praised the game and wondering if people have forgotten about it. But I think that'll be fun to just have to do a watch along.
In December of 2022, I found myself watching a lot of YouTube, as I tend to do when I'm on break from school, and naturally, since it was the end of the year, a lot of people were starting to put out videos on their top games of the year. I saw a lot of games getting tons of recognition, like Elden Ring, Kirby and the Forgotten Land,
oh, yeah.
Stray, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, but there was one game I kept hoping that anybody would mention. A game that flew under everyone's radar back when it was released in September, Freedom Planet 2. But not only did I not see anybody discussing it in terms of what made the game...
one of the common misconceptions that I've noticed, I feel like a lot of people think that Galaxy Trail is a bigger studio than it actually is. But I tend to take that as a sign that we're doing a pretty good job as a studio. Just for people to assume that we are able to simultaneously release all of our games on consoles at the same time, like the big publishers do. But yeah, it's like a lot of the heavy lifting is done by only a handful of people. So it's a common misconception, but I think that's the reason why Freedom Planet 2 fell under the radar, is just because we had been working on the game for 7 years and we really wanted to get it out. So we didn't want to wait another couple years just to get the console versions lining up with the PC versions. So we decided to go PC first, and I'm glad we did, because we've been putting out quite a few patches and updates the past year or so for it, and I definitely feel like the game is in a very solid state right now. Oh yeah, it's that too, Eps. It was released the same week as Splatoon 3. It's unfortunate, but it happens. The important part is that we made it. We crossed the finish line. Yeah.
Year lists, I barely saw anybody discussing it at all. Searching it up on YouTube, the only review that comes up in the first few results is from Some Call Me Johnny, and the others are all from relatively small channels. And this absolutely baffled me, because after picking Freedom Planet 2 up when it launched, even with Splatoon 3 having come out just a few days earlier, I absolutely couldn't put this game down. No matter what I did, it just kept sucking me back in. And after my first playthrough, I knew that I had to talk about it here on the channel. So I set about playing through nearly every aspect of the game, recording all of my footage along the way. But I knew that I'd have to talk about the first Freedom Planet game in order to contextualize this video.
Thank you,
so
Spirit
I made a review
Cells.
of that as
Thank you
well,
for the 4 months
which I'll put a link
too.
to in the top right corner and the description. And now, finally, almost 6 months after I started recording footage, I'm here writing the script for this video. It's been a long process, as I've gotten distracted by making other videos, going back and forth between home and school, finishing one semester and starting another, and now it's finally time to talk about Freedom Planet 2, which might honestly be my favorite 2D platformer of all time.
Oh, thank you.
So without any further introduction, let's get into this. As you may remember from my first Freedom Planet video, my history with the series goes way back to my middle school years. I picked up the first game in 2015.
That blows my mind that we've made a franchise that people have grown up with. So there were kids and middle schoolers that played the first game, and then 7 years later. 7 years is a really long time when you're a kid. If you're a kid in middle school, if you're 4th or 5th grade, you will have graduated high school by the time Freedom Planet 2 came out. So that's kind of nuts to think about. Oh my gosh. Yes, and next year will be the 10th anniversary. I want to do something for the 9th anniversary this year, which I believe is next month, July 21st. I think I'll just play through the games. Kind of share developer commentary, I suppose. A Sleepy Fox, thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. We're just chilling with with a review that just came out of our game, Freedom Planet 2.
my Wii U, and just a couple of months later, Galaxy Trail dropped the first cinematic trailer for its sequel.
Yeah.
This gorgeous, fully animated trailer set up the premise for the game's new antagonist, Murga.
Dan did so
and my
amazing
younger
on
self
this.
could not have been more excited for the game. And over the next few years, the devs would occasionally drip feed information in the form of new trailers, the first of which being gameplay trailers for each of the returning characters, showcasing changes in their gameplay styles and new designs to match the game's new 32-bit art style.
Yeah.
As well as revealing that Nira Lee, a boss character from the first game, would be playable too. Eventually, a sample version of the game's first stage, a new and improved Dragon Valley, was released, and from then on, information about the game was extremely slow. While it was originally intended to release in 2019, Freedom Planet 2 ended up getting delayed repeatedly, which, according to the game's lead designer, Sabrina Diduro, was mainly because the team just kept having more and more ideas they wanted to implement.
Yeah,
Which,
feature creep.
Seeing the final product now, it seems like it was absolutely worth it.
Yes.
In August of 2022, they finally announced that the game would be releasing 4 days after Splatoon 3. I feel like this is the reason Freedom Planet 2 went under most people's radars. Not only were updates infrequent and small between 2019 and the release, but it was now going to be coming out just a few days after the biggest Nintendo game releasing that year. And a lot of Freedom Planet's fan base consists of Nintendo fans.
Oh, that's a good point. Nintendo. We have a lot of overlap too with Nintendo fans because it's just that kind of game, you know. But it's fine. Wasn't it 2017 first? Yeah. My original thinking was like my original estimate for a release year was 2017, which I have absolutely no idea why I said that because that was like the same number of years, actually less development time than the first Freedom Planet. That would have given us like 2.5 years of dev time. And for Freedom Planet 1, I crunched myself to the point where I almost died from like heart problems. And so I have no idea why I assumed that we could make a game like this in an even shorter amount of time. I mean, we had more people working on it and more of a budget, but you know. But yeah, after that I just decided that okay, this is the kind of game where it's gonna come out when it's gonna come out. I after Freedom Planet 1, I adopted like a very strong anti-crunch mindset. And of course the downside of that means that it did take 7 years to make, but you know, on the upside, we made something absolutely beautiful. Yeah, no game is worth pulling a Sakurai. That is correct, Hellsword. Yeah. But yes, I have not had any heart problems since then, so I'm really glad about that. It was just the stress was so intense that my body was not used to it. Oh yes, the pandemic was also a stumbling block. That is true. I also went on, like, sometime in the middle of Freedom Planet 2's development, well, like, I'd say like maybe like 2 years before it was finished, I went into like a very bad depression that I later found out was because of dysphoria. But I did what I needed to in order to cure myself. So I'm very grateful that I actually like started taking care of myself at that point. And like these past few years have been the best years of my life, like truly.
There's a reason why the original game's first console port was on the Wii U, of all systems. I don't fault Galaxy Trail for this at all, of course. I doubt they knew when they announced the game that it would be nearly 7 years before they were able to actually release it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. You can't think about the end of the end of your game so early on, because it just makes you feel overwhelmed from everything that you still have to do. So my strategy for like, as I was working on this project was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on working on this thing. Like I'm going to focus on, like finishing this character's moveset or working on this specific level. I'm not going to think about the levels after it yet. I mean, we did have a design document. Like we had a game plan, like from the beginning, like a complete list of everything we wanted to do. But then after that, I did not really like look at the full list, just to make sure that I wouldn't like lose track of what specifically I was working on. Because it's very important for a project this big that you are able to break it down into manageable components. Oh, hello, Joker.
the fact that the game was revealed way too early, and indefinitely suffered because of that. Freedom Planet was huge in 2014 and 2015, being heralded as one of the best indie games of the time, but Freedom Planet 2 lost a lot of that steam simply due to how long it took to come out. Right now, the game is only available on PC, but it'll be making the leap to all current consoles this summer, and I sincerely hope that helps it reach a wider audience. With all that said, I'm going to be discussing the game's story first, as not only do I think it's one of the areas that improved the most from the first game, but it's also part of what made me fall in love with Freedom Planet 2 so much in the first place.
Yeah, I'm so happy that because like most people would assume that since the story of Freedom Planet 1 was criticized so heavily, that the second game would not focus as much on that element. But I just like telling stories. Like, I feel like in an alternate timeline, I would have made cartoons instead of video games, but that is so, like, mind-blowingly expensive that, like, I feel like video games are my outlet for storytelling now. Yeah, so instead of, like, removing the story in the sequel, we decided to double down on it. Like, I hired, like, an actual, like, really, like, a really good writing team. Because, like, my own writing skills are you know, so. But, yes, I'm really happy with our writing staff and like, with our voice acting team. Like, they really, like did everything possible to make sure that this was a story worth telling, and I'm so proud of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Hideo Kojima. Yeah, Kojima, isn't he on record saying that he really just wants to make movies, but, like... But it's just, like, so expensive to make a movie that he just, like, has stuck with making video games. Yeah, oh yeah, he is. Okay. Yeah, yes, that Edwin Tiang, my good friend who shared the link to this video with me. He was, like, the lead writer, and to this day he's still, like, you know, like, working with our publisher to make sure that the translations are accurate and everything. He's very invested in the Freedom Planet universe, and I'm very grateful for that. Mm.
I'll give a warning before I start discussing major spoilers, so don't worry if you're trying to go in blind. Freedom Planet 2 takes place 3 years after the events of the first game, with Brevin having been chased off planet, Torque leaving Avalis to pursue him, and the Kingdom Stone having been shattered. In this time, our 3 heroes from the first game have been honing their skills in their own ways, fending off the occasional attacks from mutants or robots left behind by Brevin's army. Eventually, though, they are summoned by Nira Lee to an audience with the Magister of Shang 2, where he tasks them with investigating the various goings-on throughout the 3 kingdoms, eventually unveiling a larger conspiracy that threatens all of Avalis once again.
56,
the game is split into 2 distinct acts.
Spacey 56, Spacey 56, happy level up day.
Thank you, Overdrive. I hope you're doing well. And thank you so much for the 2 months. Oh my gosh, thank you for your support.
With each containing an intro stage or 2, followed by 3 episodes, each containing a smaller story spread across a few stages, and that eventually ties into the overarching narrative.
Oh, yes.
These can be done in any order within the act, allowing for a fair bit of variety on repeat playthroughs, as you're able to customize and mix up the order you tackle the stages in. Finally, each act is capped off by a climactic gauntlet of stages leading to more major progression in the story. Now, like Freedom Planet 1, there are some minor story differences based on the character you're playing as. However, these differences are relatively minor, and mainly relate to each character's personal arc. However, unlike the first game, each character plays through the exact same stages, so there are no longer any stages like Aqua Tunnel or Pengu Lagoon that are exclusive to certain characters. There is, however, a secret true ending if you collect all the time capsules introduced in the game's second act, which I highly recommend doing as it makes an already great story even better.
Yeah.
In terms of tonal consistency and characterization, Freedom Planet 2 blows the first game out of the water. Whereas Freedom Planet 1 struggled to balance its more serious moments with comedic and lighthearted ones, this game finds a perfect balance between the two, still having its wholesome and funny moments, while also knowing...
Yeah, like... I'm really upset with myself for not censoring the torture scene, because the only reason I didn't is because I got severe backlash from people who are permanently on Steam forums. And, like, they're like, don't change it. It will affect the tone of the story. But I'm like, no, all I want to do is I want it to make it so that, like, a capsule covers lilac while the electricity is active. But I have regrets. But, you know, like, everyone has that phase in their life where you know, like, they're they're a little bit edgy in their storytelling, you know. And I must say that there is at least an upside to keeping it that way, because Lilac Scream, like Dawn Bennett, her voice actress, is on record saying that was her favorite line to record in the whole game. She really likes her screams. Oh, also, one of the weird criticisms you've heard of FP1 was, why do they have a story mode if classic mode is better? Just get rid of the story. And you love that instead your team decided to improve it? Yeah, exactly. That is also why classic mode needs to be unlocked in Freedom Planet 2, because the story is integrated much more deeply into the gameplay in the sequel, to the point where I feel like people would miss context if they could just, like, do classic mode right away. And granted, there is a cheat code. You can press the Sonic 1, you can do the Sonic 1 level select code on the title screen, and that will give you the badge that unlocks classic mode if you really want to. I mainly added that just so that, like, speedrunners, if they end up, like, migrating to a new PC, they won't have to play through the adventure mode again in order to unlock classic for speedrunning. But yeah, that is an option. Yeah, that's the only like cheat code in the game, though. Yeah, Sonic Superstars, I'm excited for that too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Roscat, I'm not regretful of the torture scene, but just the way that it's visually presented. That's the main beef I have with it.
When to take itself seriously, and not exaggerating either to the point of annoyance. If I had to compare it to anything, I'd compare it to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my gosh, that's high
in the way it
praise.
handles some very mature subject matter with expert nuance and grace, while still being something that children and adults alike can enjoy.
You hear that, Edwin?
The game introduces a few new characters too, and they're all incredibly worthwhile additions to the cast. Some of the highlights being Corazon, Carol's estranged mercenary sister and captain of the airship Saguada, Captain Kala, a self-proclaimed
birthday,
hero with
Spacey.
an overinflated ego, who also happens to be the champion of Shangmu's battlesphere.
Captain
and,
Clow,
of
oh my
course,
gosh, yeah. He's one of my favorites. Like his voice actor had like such a good time. Happy birthday, Spacey. Thank you, Frostcat.
the game's main antagonist, Murga, the Water Dragon's last Centurion, who was sealed away
Murga
in a
too,
time of
oh my
war
gosh.
and released when the Kingdom Stone was destroyed. They all help to flesh out the world of Avalis and contribute to the overarching story in some really creative and entertaining ways. The entire voice cast from the first Freedom Planet also makes a return, excluding PM Seymour as Torque and Xander Barriga as Brevin since they're not present for the story. Dawn M. Bennett returns as Lilac better than ever and seriously knocks it out of the park. Amanda Lott is back as Carol with the same snarky attitude as ever, and Amy Smith brings a new side to Mila that just makes me adore her character even more. Ashlyn Madden also returns as Nira Lee, and brings a new, softer quality to the character's voice that really helps to flesh her out more.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so glad that everyone got to reprise their roles, just because like the improvement in writing really let them like flex their like the range, like their emotional range. Because like you know, like when a script is not as good as it could be, then like you know that like the actor like basically just has to work with what they're given. But here they were a little more involved in the process, and it really shows, I think. And oh my gosh, yeah. Me too, Pete. D64, welcome. We're watching a video review that recently came out of Freedom Planet 2. Edwin showed it to me, and I haven't seen it yet. And then it started with like they were kind of like analyzing why nobody is talking about the game, even though it like pretty much just came out. But yeah, it's I'm enjoying it so far, and thank you so much for making it.
All of the returning cast completely outdoes their performances from the first game, and the newcomers mesh excellently with the rest. Some standouts overall for me were Jason Lord as Serpentine and Josh Grell as Captain Kala, who both never failed to get a laugh out of me whenever they showed up.
Oh my gosh, I love Jason's performance as Serpentine. Oh my gosh, it's so good. yeah. Jason Lord actually like since recording, like I believe he is a director now at Crunchyroll. That's really cool.
And finally, Morgan Berry as Murga, whose
Yes,
performance
Morgan.
only helped skyrocket her to becoming my favorite character in the entire game.
Yes.
There is one performance
Yeah, like Um, yeah, like, I'm so glad that everyone likes Murga. And, like, yeah, I really soft spot for her, too. Like, Nira is my favorite character, personally, just because, like, of the 4 playables, she is the one that I, like, 100%, like, conceptualized and designed by myself. But yeah, like, we saw enough Murga hype to where we were confident that we could make like her be the first character to get merch for FP2, and I'm really glad for that. Like, we had a makeshift campaign recently for Murga plushies. I wish there was a way to revive campaigns, because I have a feeling a lot more people are going to want a Murga plushie after this comes out on consoles. But maybe we can talk to them about getting a different character at least. Yeah.
Wasn't a huge fan of, though, and that's Lindsay Jones as Corey. It's not to say that she doesn't do a good job, because she does. During the calmer scenes, she does a great job portraying Corey. It's just that during the more intense scenes, her voice tends to become a bit out of character. And if you're familiar with her other voice work, you'll probably recognize this voice.
Ironwood's declaring martial law and abandoning Mantle!
Yeah, that's her.
He's going to use the staff to move Atlas.
Yeah, Jones is most well known as Ruby Rose in Ruby. And there are definitely times when you can hear her slip out of the voice she uses for Corey and into Ruby's voice. She's a great voice actor when it comes to Ruby, but this voice doesn't really fit Corazon all that well, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, if you, yeah, like, you gotta keep in mind that everything was recorded, like, within the first few years of Freedom Planet 2's development, so a lot of the story was, like, pretty much locked in. We did have a pickup session a few years later, just to grab some things that we really needed, based on certain gameplay elements that had to be switched around from the original plan. But yeah, at the time that Lindsay was really heavy into her role as Ruby, so I guess that does make sense. And you know what? That kind of reminds me of how, like, Shadow the Hedgehog is in Sonic Adventure 2, where, like, he kind of oscillates between, like, being very, like emotional and broody, and like, talking about how cool he is, which seems pretty out of character for modern Shadow, you know? Like modern Shadow, like, is not the person who you would imagine saying, like, I'm the coolest. Well, I don't know. I haven't watched Sonic Prime, so I don't know, like, the most recent depiction. Pixeloo, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, regardless of what Shadow thinks of himself, he is the coolest. I'm the coolest. Oh yeah, Sonic Prime Season 2. I still haven't watched the first season because it's on Netflix and I don't have a Netflix account. Slax, welcome. Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you. Yeah, we're watching a new video review of Freedom Planet 2.
But with all that said, I think it's time to finally get into the spoiler section of this video. So if you want to avoid that, skip to the timestamp on screen or in the video's description. Yes. I've made some little chapter markers just to help you all out. With all that said, spoilers start in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to start by talking about the expansive lore of the main story and the implications it has on Murga.
Oh, which Shadow's my favorite? From Adventures Heroes or Jason Griffith? Oh, it's a really tough choice. I like the more serious tone that OG Shadow has. But Jason Griffith did a fantastic job as Shadow too. I love the way Jason Griffith voiced Shadow in 06 especially. I think it's just like a perfect balance, and it like really goes with how Shadow is in that game, where he's kind of moved past his origins with Maria and everything, and he's just kind of like, you know, like being himself. Happy birthday, Spacey. Thank you, Comet. Thank you. Also, yes, like, spoiler warning for Freedom Planet 2, since we are in spoiler territory in this video.
See, about halfway through the game, it's revealed that the Earth Dragons, who were previously established to have come from another world,
They have given 52
thank you for the
subs
gifted
in the
subbie.
channel.
Thank you. 52 gift subs. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you, Abs. Oh wait, no. Thank you, Slax. 2 Abs.
enslaved the native water dragons, forcing them to repair their ship Bakunawa. However, the water dragons began to rebel, and in retaliation, the earth dragons wiped out numerous water dragon villages during a supposed test fire of Bakunawa's mining laser. Naturally, this only angered the water dragons further, and an all-out war erupted, with the water dragons eventually using their vast knowledge and history of genetic experimentation to create a champion capable of driving out their oppressors, Murga. Much of this is revealed in the main story itself, but is further detailed in the time capsules, the first of which can be found in one of the hub worlds at the start of Act 2. and the rest by completing specific challenges in the battlesphere. Collecting all of them unlocks the secret final boss and the true ending. These time capsules are the video diaries of Cordelia, an Earth Dragon princess who lived during the war. Starting off as largely oblivious to the abuse of the water dragons despite having some as servants herself, Cordelia eventually begins to realize what's actually going on, and leaves the palace in an attempt to make peace with the water dragons. Naturally, she's captured and held hostage for a non-specific amount of time, but it's implied to be for quite a while. During this time, she gets to know Murga very personally, and we get to see a lot of Murga's struggles even amongst her own people. Despite being created specifically to protect them, many of the water...
Surprise DK64. There is a true ending. You get it from getting all the capsules in the battlesphere. But yeah, like, fun fact, we, until like leading up to the final like year or so leading up to release, like, we realized that we hadn't added the time capsules yet to the game, so we kept thinking about where we could put them, or if we should hide it.
Gifted a
like,
tier 1 sub to real person 16.
Thinking of a gifted
They
subbies.
have given 53 gift subs in the channel.
So yeah, we kept thinking about where we could put them, if we should hide them in stages, if we should do something else with them, and eventually we figured out that there were pretty much exactly enough Battlesphere challenges to fit every time capsule in. So that's how we decided to implement the time capsules as Battlesphere rewards. Yeah.
Dragons are deathly afraid of Murga, viewing her as a bloodthirsty monster rather than a person. With Cordelia being the first person to truly see her for herself, well, the two naturally fell deeply in love. Of course, the story doesn't have a happy ending. Cordelia's final entry tells of how she convinced the Water Dragon and Earth Dragon leaders to negotiate peace, and as we find out later in the main story, the Earth Dragons betrayed their trust, wiping out nearly all of the Water Dragons and sealing Murga away with the power of the Kingdom Stone. These time capsules almost single-handedly make Murga one of my favorite characters in the game. Despite her not directly appearing in any of the entries, it builds up her motivations and character so much more, and makes her agony and rage so much more understandable. For Murga to finally have been so deeply understood by someone, only to have it ripped away, and the people she was made to protect massacred, it's natural, though not justified, that her first thought would be to take revenge on anyone she felt was responsible, that being the Earth Dragons in the kingdom they built on the Water Dragons' graves. This background helps contextualize Lilac's main arc throughout the story, as much of it focused on the relationship between her and Murga. While each of the other protagonists have an arc with one or two other characters, usually one of Murga's associates, Lilac's story is focused almost entirely on her learning the truth of what happened to the Water Dragons, and giving her a reason to continue fighting for peace. There are some really great moments of character building at critical points in the story, with Lilac even questioning if what she's really doing is right, all while Murga tries to convince her to change sides and leave Avalis with her. And not only does this storyline contain some of the most emotionally impactful scenes in the game, but these are further enhanced by the phenomenal voice acting from both Don Bennett and Morgan Barry.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. Oh no, Magister is hot. Yeah! That was the exact vibe we got when we received Tyson Tan's concept sprite for Maskless Magister. Our very first reaction was, oh no, he's hot.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Amy versus Carol? I wouldn't count Amy out, but maybe Carol would win by a hair. No pun intended.
Our history? They're nothing but chains, and we are choking on them!
No! The Earth Dragons must suffer! The Water Dragons will have justice! I will have my revenge!
Moving on to the other protagonists.
Yeah, like the original draft of the script, Lilac's speech to Murga after she defeats her in the final boss fight, it was a lot shorter, and it was more like I felt like it was more generic, like, you know, like she just talked to Murga about how, like, what she's doing isn't right, and that you can't believe this is what our people would have wanted, please stop. But when we did pickups, we decided to take it a step further, because by that point we had a much better understanding of Lilac's specific character arc, and also by that point, I almost feel like it was from the insistence of Dawn Bennett, because by that point she had been in a lot more TV shows and video games, and she felt like she really needed to do that moment justice. And I'm really glad that we revised that line for her.
Carol's arc is the second biggest in the game, and it revolves around her trying to convince her sister Corazon to stop working for Murga. Throughout the game, Corey constantly evades her sister's pursuit, insisting that she's doing this for Carol's own good. Eventually, after Murga's forces take Shang-Tu, Carol parts ways with the rest of the team, heading to the island nation of Perusa to track her sister down, with the others following behind in order to locate Carol. This is a really interesting narrative split for Carol, and leads to a ton of wholly unique scenes that only appear in her route. Despite playing the same levels and having the same episodic story structure as the others, Spade makes contact with Carol after reaching Perusa, and he provides most of her support during her missions on the continent. However, this does introduce a bit of a plot hole, since Spade also works with the other 3 protagonists during their time in Perusa. Since he knew they were looking for Carol, why didn't he just tell the others where she was? Then again, considering Spade isn't the most trustworthy individual, it's possible this was intentional on his part.
Yeah, Spade is Spade is like Schrodinger's rival in both games. Like, he fills the gaps where there would otherwise be plot holes. And like the typical excuse, like a wizard did it, or it's magic, don't think about it. In Freedom Planet's case, it's don't worry about it, Spade has his reasons. but yeah, we did run into a problem late in development where we realized that if Carol plays through the floating island arc first, then that leaves a plot hole for when she plays the jungle path, because the jungle path is where she first encounters Serpentine, but at the end of the floating island path is when her and Serpentine kind of join forces. So that's the reason why when you play as Carol, you have to clear jungle before you can go to floating island.
During the game's final gauntlet of stages, Carol and Corey have one final confrontation, with Corey revealing that she made a deal with Murga for her and Carol to flee Avalis safely aboard Bakunawa once Murga's plans were complete. Which would have been a lot more impactful if we as the players hadn't been told this as soon as we learned Corey was working with Murga. I mean, sure, there were enough hints that this was the case even in her normal dialogue with Carol, but the fact that we learned this immediately after Corey was introduced took away a lot of the potential impact. Actually, now that I think about it, this was a common problem with some of the game's story. A few things that could have been played up for intrigue or used to surprise the player later in the game are given away before they can have any real impact. Corey having a deal with Murga to protect Carol, Captain Kalaw's true loyalties lying with Murga. There were a lot of things they handled well in this regard, like the details of Murga's history and the reveal of Escal being a double agent, but there are just a few that could have been handled better. Anyways, back with Carol and...
I guess my thinking with that, with instantly revealing that Corey and Kalau are working for Murga, is number one, it would make Escal's betrayal not as obvious. Like that, I felt like that was what we needed to do to really make it surprising that he would also be working for Murga, but also because as soon as you reach Globoffer and find out that both of them are working for Murga, then it would kind of like you'd start connecting the dots and kind of like see that coming. Yeah, dramatic irony. Exactly. Ba-ba-ba-ba. So the old hide a bullet wound in an explosion. Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. I never heard that expression before. That's pretty neat.
Corey, they're forced to come to blows, with Carol of course coming out on top, but at the last second, Murga swoops in and deals a near fatal blow to Corey. This is a story beat I felt was almost entirely unnecessary, as it undermines a lot of Murga's character up until this point, and is immediately resolved by Mila being able to heal Corey.
Oh no, she didn't do it on purpose.
This feels like something that was left over from an earlier draft of the script that they just forgot to take out, especially since it only appears in Carol's route, despite every other character fighting Corey during this scene. Mila and Nira's stories are a lot smaller in scope than Lilac and Carol's were, but that doesn't mean they're any less enjoyable. In Mila's case, throughout the story, the heroes repeatedly encounter General Serpentine, one of Brevon's commanders from the previous game, who was left behind when he fled the planet. With each of these encounters, Serpentine reveals further information about Mila's origins, eventually revealing to her that she's originally from Brevin's homeworld, bred as a war dog.
Yes.
Using this as leverage, Mila makes a deal with Serpentine to betray her friends in exchange for him helping her find her parents. But
Yeah, I love that. Gosh, I do love Mila's dialogue in Freedom Planet 2. I love how she kind of like she really pretends to be like evil in front of Serpentine to kind of gain his trust, but it's just so obvious that she's not like actually evil. She's just like doing it for for reasons. Oh my gosh, I love it. And I can tell Amy Smith really loves like voicing Mila. Like I remember when we did our first batch of auditions and we paid to have to have Amy like fly down to Texas to record our lines there, her lines there. And like she has gone on to say that was kind of like a turning point in her career as a voice actress. It was when she decided that voice acting is something that she wanted to devote her life to, and I'm really glad that we could be a part of that.
naturally, she double-crosses him when he attempts to take over Bakanawa. If you're playing as Mila, there's this really cool exclusive scene of Serpentine using syntax to try and control Mila, with her eventually breaking free and fighting back against him, but that being the end of her arc. Overall, it's a very simple and satisfying story, and seeing as she was the first character I played as, it helped me appreciate both the core main story as well as her fairly separate arc. Finally, we have Nira's story. While the other characters' arcs were shown mostly through exclusive scenes you'd only see by playing as those characters, Nira's is told mostly during the main story events, and her focus is on learning to trust in her allies. She starts off taking full charge of the group in just about every situation, operating using force wherever necessary, and this slowly grows throughout the first set of episodes, reaching a boiling point when Ascal betrays Shang 2, and the heroes are driven out of the kingdom by Murga's forces. Naturally, as a soldier with intense dedication to her kingdom, this shook Nira to her core, and was only worsened when Carol snuck out in search of Corey. However, throughout the events of the game's second act, Nira slowly learns to trust in her allies once more, and gets to confront Ascal about his actions in one of her few exclusive scenes. I do have some pretty major issues with this scene.
Plug again. Wagugas. Praise the Wagugas. Thank you, Doggo, for the 5 gifted subbies. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Notification sound is loud. Okay. I'll try and lower the volume later in my stream elements. Yeah, that's not corn. That's a banana. Even better. It is Wagugas. Mm-hmm. Oh, but yeah, Nira. I'm really happy with Ashlyn's performance in this game. With the way that like she with the way that her wavering trust issues and the way that she kind of like basically like explodes at one point and lashes out at everybody around her. It really let like Ashlyn like flex her like voice acting muscles, and it was really cool.
It greatly undermines Ascal's character as he's been presented up until this point. Up until now, he's been shown as being dedicated to whatever he feels is just, holding the Magister responsible for covering up the truth of what happened to the water dragons. But just before his boss battle with Nira, he suddenly does this.
It doesn't have to be that way anymore.
It's such a dork.
Excuse me?
Not only does this come out of nowhere with next to no build-up in any previous scene, but it also paints Ascal as a misogynist, with him defining a woman's importance by her attachment to a man, in Nira's case the Magister. And it's a shame, because up until then, Ascal had been a really interesting antagonist, but this scene takes away a lot of what made him interesting to me. In any case, the rest of the story plays out fairly similar to the other characters, up until the very ending, where the Magister steps down as ruler of Shang 2, and for her dedication to the kingdom, he names Nira the temporary regent until proper elections can be held, solidly closing out her arc. There are a few other characters with notable arcs, such as the Magister being forced to confront the actions of his grandfather, who ruled Shang 2 during the Dragon Wars, and attempting to figure out his place in the conflict. Captain Kala has some surprising depth to him as well, and though this is mostly relegated to one scene at the end of Skybridge, where we learn his true motivations behind joining Murga, it does wonders for his character and makes him a love-to-hate antagonist. Borders on the edge of being annoying and endearing at times, but in the end I like the chaotic energy he brought to a lot of the storyline, especially the Robot Wars episode. And finally, General Serpentine was a fantastic comedic villain, whose involvement in the story really helps enhance the overall themes of the game's final act. Speaking of which, it's finally time to talk about the game's finale.
Yeah. I love the whole like Robot Wars arc too, because it's basically just like it's just on Serpentine. They're just like two kids who are like angry at each other, like they're playing with toys, but they're kind of like arguing over who's gonna come out on top. But is has like an actual childlike mind, and Serpentine like plays it completely seriously because he is like an alien war general. It's so good. Oh, thank you for hydrate and stretch. I'll take sippy and stretchy. But yeah, I got no problem with criticism of certain elements of the story because number one, it was made like many years before the game would actually be finished. So like by the time we had realized some of the things that we could maybe improve, we could not afford to do like pickup lines or revise any of the scenes. And number two, it's always like, you know, like a learning process, like with writing for any media. You know, it doesn't matter if it's like a novel or a video game or a movie or a cartoon. So I am confident that that there's nowhere to go but up. Like, even though the story is already really good, like if we ever continue the series in the future, from this point, then we'll be able to kind of like improve upon certain aspects that were maybe a bit questionable. So I think that's really cool.
During the final gauntlet of stages, Murga launches the Bakunawa, with the intent of using its mining laser to destroy the moon, both fueling the ship enough for her to escape the solar system, and spelling the end of Avalis in the process. The heroes hitch a ride with Serpentine, thanks to Mila's deception, and begin their raid of Bakunawa, taking on most of Murga's forces in the process. Though just before they're able to reach the Dragoness herself, Serpentine uses Syntax's Code Black, taking control of the ship and all of Murga's forces, until...
Well, no matter. With Code Black installed, I can simply flood this chamber with my robots! Then we'll see who has the last look. No! No! What happened?
Huh. Surely that won't be important later. Anyways, once the crew reaches Murga, they engage in one final battle against her after the Magister's negotiations fail. Murga's boss is easily the most difficult in the game, having a full 6 phases, with the first 5 being based on different forms of the moon, which background text in the hub worlds reveal were culturally important to the water dragons.
Oh my gosh. The Murga fight is a work of art. Like, I cannot believe that we put our heads together and made it a final boss encounter with 6 phases. But oh my gosh, it turned out absolutely incredible. And I'm glad we like significantly toned down the difficulty of each individual phase, because like by themselves they were pretty reasonable for this point of the game, but like we found early on that like having to fight all 6 of them back to back with very little healing in between was a bit much. Yeah, I get you, real person. Huge 7 Force vibes in that fight. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for with the original concept too. So like imagine Gunstar Heroes, but 7 Force was the final boss. That's basically what we were kind of going for. But like I feel like it's like one of the most fun things for me as a game developer is just like making lots of bosses. I don't think I would go so far as to make a game that is just like a huge boss rush, because I really like the idea of having regular stages in between to like have the players catch their breath and offer more traditional platforming challenges to help them get used to the character. But yeah, bosses are still like one of my favorite things. You played this with an arcade stick like a lunatic? Actually, I played it with an arcade stick too when I first started having hand problems making the game. I thought that would help. That would help me test. It didn't help too much. It wasn't until I switched to like a vertical mouse and a slim keyboard that I really got back into the groove in a way that would not further hurt my hands. Let me know if you want to make my boss fight and turf fight of all the work. Oh, okay. I did notice that Lunasis does not have any boss fights really, unless you consider like platforming challenges as a boss. But yeah, I could provide some, you know, feedback or advice at least if you're looking for it.
Once the heroes prevail, though, is where the story diverges. Now, normally, this scene will end with Bakunawa crashing into Abelis, and Murga seemingly disappearing in the wreckage. However, if the player collects all of the time capsules, Murga's shouting is interrupted by one final message from Cordelia. Though heavily corrupted, the general message comes across just fine, with Cordelia's final wish being for Murga to find her own happiness. And Murga is barely given time to process this before they're interrupted by Syntax, Serpentine's AI. Syntax has completely integrated itself into the ship thanks to Code Black, and is now charging up the mining laser to devour the moon, leading to one final mad dash to stop it. And the theming here is some of the best in the game, with Syntax's distant eye on a haunting pitch-black background, the pause menu taunting you with a message of "you can't hide here," and much more. The heroes encounter Syntax fused with the ship's core, dubbed in the arena as Bakunawa Fusion, and team up with Murga to defeat it and save Abelis. Overall, the final part of this story gives heavy vibes of the ending of a 2000s era Sonic game, with Eggman having messed with powers beyond his understanding.
Also, the fact that Sonic Adventure 2 has two stages called Final Rush and Final Chase, and Freedom Planet 2 has two stages called Bakunawa Chase and Bakunawa Rush, and Bakunawa Rush has grind rails in space, just like Final Chase and Final Rush. Yeah, a lot of that finale was just like a huge love letter to Sonic Adventure 2 story, almost. I guess that's one way you can put it. But like it just like seemed like a good way to kind of like express the finale, you know. But of course, like the horror elements, and not Canon's Core, Weapons Core. There's another similarity, but yeah. Yeah, Weapons Core was just like we had just the idea of like what if the player's good enough to get to this point, surely they could handle a little bit of horror, right.
He's forced to team up with the heroes to clean up his own mess. However, because the game has spent so much time building up Murga's character, it makes her willingness to help an incredibly fulfilling end to her character arc. And though she disappears at the end of the game, it's heavily implied that she survives Bakunawa's wreckage. And don't think I didn't notice the little tease of Breva's return there at the end. One of the core themes of Freedom Planet 2's story is that we'll always be affected by the actions of those who came before us, but what we do in the face of that knowledge, how we learn, grow, and change the world around us, is what really matters in the end. Which is an extremely deep and relevant theme, especially in today's world. For Murga, her first instinct was to take revenge against the people who wronged her, but in the end, she acknowledges the error of her ways, and is allowed to grieve in peace. Lilac, Carol, and Mila don't allow themselves to be defined by the circumstances of their past, whether that be as the last survivor of a dying race, a former thief, or a soldier bred for war. Nira moves past the betrayals she suffered, and allows herself to do the best she can for her people. The Magister confronts the corruption of his own lineage, and takes the first steps to atoning for the wrongdoings of his ancestors. And despite the remnants of bloodshed and chaos, the lingering memory of the trauma inflicted on them all by Brevin and his army, they stand ready to do their part in defending and bettering the world. And on that note, there's one last scene after the game's credits roll, revealing Cordelia's final message in full, and also that she's been alive this whole time? I swear to God, if she doesn't have a damn good reason for not running to her wife the moment she was freed, I'm gonna lose my shit. Anyways, that's it for the spoiler section. And hey, if you're still with me and you like what you've seen so far, why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my future uploads? Once this video goes up, I'll be starting work on a review of Punch-Out for the Wii, and I also stream sometimes, so subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that. Liking and commenting also helps
if we have a chance to continue the story, then that will be explained.
To even more people. Thanks a ton. Now, as for the gameplay, Freedom Planet 2 borrows a lot from its predecessor, but also adds to it, as you would expect from a sequel. Whereas Freedom Planet 1's movement was fairly rigid and precise, this game has a lot more flow to it, allowing many more attacks and movements to be chained together in creative ways. Each returning character moves at a different time.
Wagugas! Praise the Wagugas. TZ, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subbies. Wow. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you all for the birthday subbies. Sorry. Okay, maybe if I change that now, it'll be better. Less like overwhelming. Where is it? Alert box. Where's the variant? Because there's a I set it so that like only past a certain number of subbies is when it shows up. There we go. Let's put it at 60. All right, let me try testing it now. Custom username. This is a test. Okay, is that gonna do it? Question mark? Okay, how's the volume on that one? Wait, what? What? No! I submitted a test one at the same time that you did that DK64. What? Ah! Well, thank you, test character and DD64. Yeah! Okay, still loud. Oh, I know why. I forgot to press save. Oops. Cheer, subscriber. Blah. Okay. Save. Okay, press save. I'm gonna do another test. Please do not gift subs right now so it doesn't chain together. Test. Okay, trying again. How's that volume? Is that better? Well, Pete, like I said before, it will be explained at some point. Why that is a thing. Better? Okay, yeah, better. Butter. Okay, well, but gosh, thank you, Dicky, for the 10. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, y'all are the best. That's
The best from the original game while adding new aspects that work to
Wait, why does it say I only have one sub on the counter? It broke my... y'all broke my counter! No! Okay. How am? E. But it's fine. It's fine, I'll fix that later. I'll fix that later. E. I'll just get rid of it for now. Streamlabs. For the... E. Game over, yeah! Game over, yeah! Where'd it go? Okay. Save, please. Why did you say one? It says...
We have a new record!
It says my real sub count in the website. Why is it not showing my OBS? Nani? Okay, let me try deactivating the marquee. Shut down when it's not visible. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! It is fixed. Yes, it always works first. When you do it first, turn it off. Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
Up for their weaknesses. Lilac has changed the least from her original incarnation, still sporting her trademark Dragon Boost and Cyclone, allowing her to blaze through stages at high speeds. New to her moveset is the Dragon Burst, allowing you to cancel out of your Dragon Boost early and leave a damaging spark behind you. This move is extremely useful in boss fights, and I actually didn't even know this move existed until my second playthrough with her, which made the first one way harder than it needed to be. Additionally, every character now has the ability to guard, granting a few frames of invulnerability to all attacks with the press of a button, and each character has an additional unique ability tied to guarding. For Lilac, this is the Blink Dash. By pressing the guard button twice in quick succession, Lilac will dash forward a bit while keeping the invulnerability of her guard, allowing her to dodge attacks from enemies much more quickly than she would otherwise. Carol, meanwhile, has had a lot more significant changes to her moveset, making her equally suited for speed and combat.
Yeah.
Carol still has access to her motorcycle upon grabbing a fuel tank, which is as great of a boon as it ever was, and she also keeps most of her standard claw attacks and pounce. She's also been given different aerial attacks based on what direction you hold when inputting them, which grants her a lot more variety and utility than she had previously. But perhaps the most important addition to Carol's moveset is the Jump Disc, replacing her old Wildcat Kick special from the first game. When Carol throws the Jump Disc, it hones onto the nearest enemy or destructible item in the direction it's thrown, and if Carol presses the button again, she'll leap toward the Jump Disc with brief invulnerability. Not only is this a massive help with precise platforming, something Carol struggled with a bit in the first game, but it also provides her a much needed in when fighting larger enemies and bosses. Since most of Carol's attacks are short range, the Jump Disc helps her to close the gap between her and an enemy's weak spot without as much of a risk of taking damage.
Yeah.
The same kind of effect that Lilac's Dragon Boost has and Carol's Wildcat Kick lacked in the first game.
Like, our main goal with Carol was that, like, the main issue with her in Freedom Planet 1 is that a lot of her best moves relied on the layout of the environment, like the presence of fuel cans or jump pads. So what we wanted to do in Freedom Planet 2 is make it so that, like, she did not have to rely on environment stuff in order to perform moves. So the jump disc directly replaced the jump pads, and as far as the bite goes, it's not as strong as Carol on foot. Really, it depends on the context, but not only is it closer in power to Carol on foot, but it also does not get permanently destroyed once you acquire it. It just gets put in storage.
Carol's riding her motorcycle, she'll throw it instead of the jump disc, and afterward it'll be put in the void. The player can take their motorcycle back out by throwing the jump disc, and instead of pressing the special button to jump to the disc, pressing the guard button. This solves another issue I had with Carol in the first game, that being not having an easy way to get off her motorcycle. Sure, you could stand still and press down, but this also meant if you wanted to get the motorcycle back, you'd have to either find another fuel tank or come back here. And there were a lot of times I would rather not have used Carol's motorcycle in the first game, since it's not really suited for combat against larger enemies or bosses. But Freedom Planet 2 fixed that by tying it to the jump disc ability in a really smart way. Overall, the changes made to Carol's moveset had made her skyrocket from being my least favorite character to play as in the first game to being my absolute favorite in this one.
Let's go!
Mila's probably the character who changed the most since the first game, and while she's still primarily intended for exploration, she's now able to hold her own a lot better in combat. She still has her trademark flutter jump and the ability to summon cubes, though the latter is now tied to her guard ability. She's also able to access her whole moveset when she has a cube, as instead of carrying it, the cube now floats behind her. Mila's trademark shield burst is still intact, now aimable in 8 directions rather than just 6, but the cubes have even more utility now. See, the shield burst and the actual shield itself are now tied to separate buttons, and while the shield is as useful as ever, releasing the button now fires small projectiles that slowly eat away at the cube. The smaller the cube is, the less powerful both your shield burst and cube blaster become. So it's essential to guard frequently to have a full cube whenever you can. All in all, Mila's much more fun to control in this game, while still retaining most of the aspects that made her unique in the first one. And finally, we have this game's completely new playable character, Nira Lee. She's the slowest character in the game, but her attacks dish out the most damage by far. Most of her attacks are tied to her frost lance, allowing her to spin it over her head, create a burst of ice directly in front of her by slamming it into the ground, or fire short-range ice projectiles from its point. Her special takes the form of various frost arts, which, based on the direction held, allow her to shoot projectiles that freeze enemies on contact, fire a torrent of icy wind directly above her, or create ice pillars that damage enemies and act as an additional platform for Nira. Her guard ability is Focus, increasing the speed of her attacks and allowing her to dish out damage even faster for a limited time. The biggest issue with Nira is her traversal options, or lack thereof. It's not her speed that's an issue, it's her vertical mobility. Nira has a double jump, but this doesn't help the fact that most vertical platforming sections are unnecessarily difficult for Nira, and sometimes outright impossible without coming to a complete stop to figure out a way up. There are some workarounds, such as freezing enemies to use them as platforms, or abusing the very slight increase in height granted by her upward frost art, but these make Nira very unsatisfying to play as in vertical sections. They don't feel like they were designed with Nira in mind, and I think that if her jumps had just a little more height, this would be far less frustrating. Despite this, Nira was fairly fun to play as, especially in boss fights, where she quickly tore through some of the ones I'd struggle with the most in my other playthroughs. Now that we've discussed all the characters, I should talk about the general gameplay and stage design, which has seen a lot of changes. First off, the stage gimmicks of each level are a lot more prominent, helping every stage to feel much more unique, such as the vine pillars in Dragon Valley, Airship's iguana's key blocks, and Robot Graveyard's giant magnets. Some of these mechanics may show up in later stages, but most of them remain exclusive to just one or two, helping keep them fresh each time they appear. Further contributing to this sense of uniqueness is the actual design of the levels themselves, which is different in almost every single stage.
Yeah.
Dragon Valley is similar in design to many Freedom Planet 1 stages, helping the player get used to this game's new mechanics.
Yeah, that was one of my goals too with I think it's just like a goal in general for me as a game designer. Like every level needs to bring something new to the table. Or else I just tell myself like what's the point of having it if it's not gonna do something different from our previous stage. And that is a blessing, but it can also be a curse because it also contributes to like feature creep in the sense that like we have to make new assets for every stage, or just like heavily remix them enough to where it like feels like fresh and interesting. Because my goal for every level in a game that I work on is for every level to kind of like have a standout moment, to the point where like players could think back on that level and be like, hey, isn't that the level where such and such happens? And if they can't think of what happened in that level, then I know that it's one of the weaker ones. But yeah, that's like all over the place in the Freedom Planet series. Like Freedom Planet 1, like you say Fortunite and then someone will be like, oh, isn't that the level with the giant like robot panther fight? Or like if you say like Thermal Base, oh, isn't that the level with like the big rushing fire or like the torture scene? Or if you say like just like it's the same as Freedom Planet 2, you know, like you say Shinlen Park and then you're like, oh, isn't that the level with the cruise ship? Or if you say like Skybridge, you're like, oh, isn't that the level with Captain Clow and like the big masks? Yeah. So I always strive to have a standout moment in every level. Something that really like cements it in your head.
While Avian Museum is much more clustered, focusing more on platforming quickly at risk of being crushed. Stages like Phoenix Highway and Bakunawa Rush are much more open and focused on pure speed, and there are others with wholly unique concepts. Gravity Bubble takes place almost entirely underwater, and poses an extremely interesting challenge with the game's swimming mechanics. And Lightning Tower, which is one of my personal favorite stages, takes place entirely inside of a vertical shaft, which slowly becomes more claustrophobic as you make your way to the top solving puzzles.
Yeah, I just love like the variety of stage layouts in Freedom Planet 2 as well. Like you can tell it took a long time because every stage just feels completely different, and we had different like things we were thinking about at that particular time. Like with Lightning Tower being completely vertical, and of course with Ancestral Forge being largely puzzle based. It's really cool how Ancestral Forge is so polarizing. Like I think it's a good thing because like everyone I talk to, Ancestral Forge is either one of their least favorite stages or one of their most favorite stages. I think it's so cool. It just like having that variety really like helps you like broaden your audience, you know. It helps with the music. Yes, I love Ancestral Forge's music. It's so good. It's such a bop. Like that's another thing too. I highly recommend like doing everything you can to make sure your soundtrack is absolutely awesome. because regardless of what happens in the game itself, like, the music can really stay with people for a long time. And it's something that they can enjoy outside of playing the game too.
Of course, the most unique stage by far is the Battlesphere. Rather than being a straightforward get to the goal stage, the Battlesphere features a ton of smaller scale challenges, such as defeating waves of enemies, racing to the end of a specially designed course, or even facing unique bosses exclusive to this stage. Only a couple of these are required for story progression, but the Battlesphere can be revisited at just about any point in the game to complete the rest of its numerous challenges, some of which grant the aforementioned time capsules necessary to get the true ending. Overall, the stage design is much more varied than the first game, which makes replaying them all the more enjoyable. This is essential, not only since Freedom Planet 2 features a whopping 24 regular stages, nearly twice
24.
as many as the first game, but also because it places a lot of emphasis on replayability. In addition to each of the 4 characters offering a different experience, the game now features a ranking system. Though, unlike what you might expect, these rankings aren't based on how quickly you get through the stage. They're actually based on the equipable items you're using, which change the game's difficulty. Rather than having a traditional difficulty setting, Freedom Planet 2 starts off by giving you a choice of easy, normal, and hard, with each option giving you different starting items. For easy mode, you're given items that give you various buffs at the cost of decreasing your crystal bonus. Normal mode gives you no items, and hard mode supplies a few challenge modifiers that increase your crystal bonus if you manage to beat the stage with them. More of these items can be found in chests in some of the earlier stages, or bought from the shops in the game's various hub worlds. Your rank is determined by your overall crystal bonus at the end of the stage, which is determined by what items you're using and how many times you died. An S rank requires you use 2 challenge modifiers, plus finish the stage without dying. Thankfully, there are a ton of options to choose from when it comes to these modifiers, ranging from double damage, to finishing the stage within a time limit, or changing all the item containers into bombs. This difficulty can be mitigated by your potions, which are special items you can buy from Mila's laboratory. These items provide overall minor buffs, such as slightly increasing your jump height or speed, allowing shields to take an additional hit, or making your attacks have a small chance to heal you the same amount of damage you dealt. You can mix and match up to 5 potion effects at once, with duplicates being fair game, allowing a great
Oh, you're
deal
making
of
a mod that adds over a dozen items to Freedom Planet 2? That sounds cool!
Allowing you to make
can't wait to
the
check it out
bans given to
sometime.
you by the challenge modifiers. There is a hidden rank that provides one of the game's greatest challenges though, and that's the Rainbow S rank. The only way to get this rank is by using the one-hit KO challenge modifier, plus an extra challenge modifier, and finishing the stage without dying. I've only managed to get this rank on the first few stages, and it's no joke. What I found most effective is to apply no revivals as your second modifier, since you already have to avoid dying anyways, and then just max out your potion jar with the shield potion. See, elemental shields don't count toward the one-hit KO, so by applying these, every elemental shield counts for 7 hits rather than 2. Not to mention, any remaining hits you have when you collect a new shield stack, so as long as you know the quickest way to get shields in a stage, you can abuse them in order to break through this challenge and get that coveted Rainbow S. This particular potion is
that's
also
pretty much
extremely
the
useful
best,
when it
and
comes
for
to
a lot of
bosses.
people, including me,
This is
the
another
only
place
way
that
you can
Freedom
get
Planet
Rainbow
2
S rank.
shines. While the first game had generally good boss design, with a few extremely frustrating ones, this game's bosses walk the line between fairness and difficulty expertly, which is no doubt helped by the customizable difficulty.
I'm so glad to
Each
hear
boss
that,
starts out
because,
fairly tough,
like,
even
our team, like Proto and Will especially, they put in so many hours just, like, balancing out the boss fights and making sure that they're fair for everybody. And, like, even now, we're still, like, working on, like rebalancing the Escal fight at Diamond Point. And it's pretty interesting, like, some of the tweaks that have been made. But I'll let everybody know when that's getting close to being ready. But yeah, we really, like, you really have to put in a lot of work after your game is done, just for, like, balancing stuff. I think it helps so much. Just a few, like, value tweaks, or, like, adjustments in, like, speed or positioning of, like, certain attacks can really make the difference between something that, like, that feels like it's the player's fault they get hit, or the game's fault.
ones early in the game, but they slowly become more doable as you watch their attack patterns and figure out when you can attack without getting damaged. Just like the first game, there's a wide size variety in the bosses, with some towering over the player, and others being the exact same size, leading to a variety of different strategies you can deploy for each of them. Additionally, the actual boss arenas are much more varied this time, forcing you to take the environment into account for each fight. Unfortunately, I can't show you too many of my favorite bosses, since many of them are heavy in spoiler territory, but without saying too much, my favorite bosses are from Robot Graveyard, Diamond Point, Clockwork Arboretum, and both the normal and true final bosses.
Yeah.
There are a few other minor changes to the gameplay, such as the removal of
Those are
star
good
cards
choices.
as collectibles from the first game. In their place are chests
I think
containing
Clockwork
either gravestones
Arboretum's
that
boss
modify
has
the
my favorite
difficulty,
boss
or,
music.
more commonly, vinyls with the stage's music in them. Additionally, the various elemental shields have been slightly reworked, now taking the form of sprites. Their effects are generally the same as the first game, with most attacks having some kind of element that the player becomes immune to when equipped with the proper shield. I did notice that generally, the attacks of enemies were easier to guess than the first game, which addresses one of my earlier complaints. And as I mentioned, the amount of hits left on a shield will stack when grabbing another one, further enhancing their utility. Finally, one of the last major changes is how the life system works. Your extra lives do not carry over between stages, instead starting you off with a set amount at the beginning of every stage, and just like the first game, awarding you with an extra stock when you collect a certain number of crystals. However, the biggest change comes when you actually die. So long as the character's body remains intact after the death animation, you're given the choice of either restarting from the last checkpoint, or reviving immediately with a small amount of health. This is a godsend in some of the harder bosses, as if you die right before you could defeat a boss, this gives you a second chance. I'm a huge fan of this reworked system, as it gives the player more freedom in how they tackle the challenges presented, and makes it less likely the player will rage quit because they died when a boss was almost defeated.
Yeah, I love how this system turned out. Like when we first came up with it, I thought it was a pretty novel idea, and I just like how it gives players who are just barely struggling to beat a boss just that little bit of extra push to make it. Like, I feel like it's made all the difference in a lot of situations where they otherwise might have gotten too frustrated to try again. And like, I feel like it's a better system than just having like essentially infinite lives. Because, like, even if you have infinite lives, you still have to start the whole fight over again if you die and restart. But this way, you can continue the fight where you left off, albeit in a weakened state. It's just so cool. I would love to, like, incorporate it even in non-Freedom Planet games, because it's just such an interesting concept. Also, somebody on the Discord server showed me a mod that somebody made for Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited that gives it the same revival mechanic as Freedom Planet 2. I thought it was really neat.
In terms of other things the game adds to the mix, Freedom Planet 2 features fully explorable hub worlds with a variety of NPCs to interact with. Many of them have dialogue relating to the current situation in the game's story, and it'll actually change based on when you speak to them. Additionally, there are...
gives you some ideas to explore. Nice. Yeah, Haz, it is kind of like Super Smash Bros. Now that you mention it. Like, I remember like Subspace Emissary kind of being like that almost too.
Various shops set up in each area where you can buy Bravestones and Vinyls, which you can then take to Verse, one of my personal favorite NPCs, to have them played. I wish the music kept playing when you left to explore the hub world instead of forcing you to stay on that menu, but a music player is always a welcome inclusion.
Oh, see you, Scara.
I mean, it's not like I made an entire video about why Splatoon needed one and then they added it in an update, but some of the characters in the hub are an absolute joy to interact with, and actually serve to build up the lore of the world in a really interesting way. This no longer feels like just the setting to a big globe-trotting adventure like the first game did. It feels like a living, breathing world, and the NPCs interact realistically to the various happenings of the plot, especially considering the scale of some of the events. Some of my personal favorite NPCs are Verse, because, of course she is, Sunny and Amelia, who are clear parodies of Sonic and Amy and make constant references to their home series, and Maria Note, a news reporter who has some very fun dialogue as she tries to convince the heroes to do an interview with her. And finally, let's cap this review off with one of my
love Maria Note
favorite
too.
parts of the game.
She's the reason that I became a bat.
One of the biggest aspects pushing me to complete this review, and even though I'm only going to talk about it for a little bit, it's probably the single aspect of the game that's impacted me the most. The soundtrack is hands down one of the best I've ever heard for a game. It didn't stand out to me all that much on my...
Thank you for the raid, Ultra VT. Ultra. Thank you so much for raid. Welcome, Raiders. I am SpaceyBat. I am a Gadget Here Bat and a game developer, and I am most known for being the producer of the Freedom Planet series. Today's my birthday, and I wanted to chill because I did a lot of screaming yesterday because I played F-Zero GX for charity, and that is a very scary game if you're not used to it. But it's so much fun. I want to play it again. But today I figured I would just chill and rest my voice for a little bit, and somebody just recently made like a 40-minute long video review of our game, and I think we're past the halfway point now. But like, it's been really cool, like just like talking about some of the design stuff. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much for the follows. So many follows. Thank you, Ultra. Thank you, Pizza Pasta Speeve. Thank you, Unjusta Forsetti. Thank you. Thank you for follows. I appreciate it. Welcome. I am mostly known, of course, for developing Freedom Planet, but I also am a SpaceyBat VTuber. I like to play speedy platform games such as Sonic and Mega Man, which have inspired my game design stuff, and I also play a lot of racing games, of course. That's sort of my thing. Sonic Adventure 1 Invincibility. Yeah, the invincibility toggle, actually, it plays a random invincibility tune from throughout the Sonic series. Here, I'll show you again. Wait. Oh, we got it again. No, I'll do it one more time after this. Hopefully we'll get a different one. Okay, come on, let's get our high roll this time. Okay, it's got 30 seconds, whatever. Also, if you notice, I have the bat arms, and I can close them. I've been wrapping myself up for most of the stream, you know, to just like, you know, chill out. And also I can be chibi. Wow, chibi for him. Well, I am small spacey now, and I can still wrap my wings around. Oh, also I can hang upside down from the ceiling. Arietti, hi. What? Why is it not? Why? Is it just really insane luck? Okay. I tried restarting my Mixer app, so maybe then we'll get a new one. Okay. Invincibility. Okay, let you try. Okay, Frostcat, in 30 seconds you can try. Super rad and the coolest. Thank you. Ba. Ba ba. Ba ba. Dun dun. Oh.
If you know Magma 2, make a good Mega Man level 2 contest. Spacey is the only contestant which scored with all judges with 80 at least 40.
Oh my gosh, I have to play through the Make a Good Mega Man level series too. I want to do that at some point. But it was really fun taking part in Mega Man 2. I want to do that again sometime. There we go, we got a different one this time. Which Mega Man 2 level was it? Thinking 64. It was Launchman and Shuttleman. I also participated in Make a Good 48-hour Mega Man level, where we had to make a Mega Man level in 48 hours. I think I got like 4th place, 5th place, but I'm pretty happy with my placement. I forgot what the name of my level was, but it was the one with the.
Just remembered that I had some bits left over, so happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Chaotic Claw. Thank you for the bits. But yeah, my level in 48-hour Mega Man level, it was the one with the Venus waterfalls in like the blue crystal area, and it ended with like a quick laser section, and like the turtle boss from Mega Man 3. Yeah, it's also Sonic 1 Invincible. We're getting a lot of doubles today. Yeah, thank you, 64. It seems like Mega Man 4 is not going to happen for a really long time, but if it does, I would love to get involved. Oh my gosh.
My first playthrough, but as I continued to sit on it and kept playing through more of the
Thank you for
game to gather
hydrate.
footage,
I'll take
every
sippy.
time more and more tracks stood out to me. They also make fantastic use of leitmotifs to thematically link locations and characters, such as Robot Graveyard featuring Brevin's leitmotif,
Yeah.
since it's the remains of Battle Glacier from the first
I
game,
love that about
as well as a lot of Mila's character theme and
Robot
shop music
Graveyard's
featuring parts of Relic Maze,
music.
and Lilac's theme featuring bits of
It's so
Penguin
good.
Lagoon. From the high-energy stage music to the emotionally driven boss themes, and even the cutscene tracks, I don't think there's a single song in this game that misses. I have too many
I'm
things.
so glad to hear that because, like, the song, I think it's just because a lot of people were attached to the specific style of the original Freedom Planet soundtrack. But, like, I in a few video reviews, I've heard, like, criticism about the soundtrack, about the melodies not being as memorable. But I think it's just different. I think you just, like, need time to kind of, like, soak it in. And it is notable that this reviewer played the game multiple times. So I think they had time for the soundtrack to really, like, sink in and be like, okay, yeah, this is pretty awesome. Fellow game dev, yes! Fellow game dev, welcome to my channel! Yes, welcome Cryptic Crow. There's so many cool people here. I gotta start following y'all. Mama. Wait, I'll do that after stream.
Favorites to count, but if I had to pick just a few, it'd probably be Lightning Tower, Airship Siglata, and Inversion Dynamo. But
I
don't
love
just take my
Inversion
word
Dynamo's
for it. Go
soundtrack.
listen-
Like Inversion Dynamo's song. Basically, what happened is, Woofle approached me. Woofle is like our main musician, and I worked with her on composing the soundtrack for the most part. We had help from a few outside sources as well, such as one of our level designers, Will, also helped, and Dusky also helped for a track. But yeah, Woofle approached me one day, and she was like, hey, you just want me to go like full Sonic CD for this track? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Oh my gosh, I Inversion Dynamo, like, it gets stuck in my head constantly still.
The soundtrack for yourself, because Galaxy Trail has graciously uploaded all of the stage music to their official YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's on our official YouTube channel, Galaxy Trail. I figured that would be like a good place to showcase like just the stage music, but you could get the full soundtrack on Bandcamp as well. Let me put a link up to that just in case you're curious about how the game sounds and you haven't played it yet. It might help you make a decision. Okay, galaxytrail.bandcamp.com. Okay, so, and I should note that the proceeds from this album will go to Woofle. I don't care about making any profit from the Bandcamp album. I think it's more important that Woofle gets that money. Yeah. Welcome back, Alex. Yeah, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people here. Yeah, we got raided by some wonderful folks. It's always really, I really like the concept of like just raids in general, because you get to intersect with a bunch of different communities that are really cool. You found out afterwards that FPU's soundtrack is going to be released on other platforms? Yeah, eventually. We just got to figure out like the metadata stuff. Oh, thank you for headpads too. Oh, that's so nice.
The full soundtrack is for sale on Bandcamp. Here's a few brief highlights from the songs if you
Oh,
need
thank
just
you,
a
Event
little more
Horizon, for pinning
encouragement.
that. Yeah, that song, Gold Opera, that's a good example of the general workflow that Woofle and I had when we were collaborating on the soundtrack. I would start by composing like a melody using like MIDI with sound fonts. I would pass that over to her, and then she would like work her magic in terms of like kind of like making her own like backing to it, and then kind of incorporating my melody into the mix and like the MIDI notes. It was so cool. It was an absolute joy. Like Woofle was an absolute joy to work with. I would highly recommend it. Yes. Oh, well, okay. Come on. Press play. I love how this song ended up too. This song went through a bunch of different takes, and we have beta versions of this and a few other songs on the Bandcamp album, so you can kind of see the progression.
All I can do, though, is extend a massive thank you to all of the lovely people who contributed to this game's soundtrack, because it's essentially become the soundtrack to my life, as I constantly put it on whenever I'm walking around campus, or driving, or even working on videos like this one.
I'm so happy to hear that. I think that's the best compliment as a composer that you could get. Like, someone just, like, takes the soundtrack outside the context of what it was made for and just, like, listens to it in their car while they're driving. That's the best feeling.
This is genuinely the best game soundtrack I've ever heard, at least as of yet, and that is some tough competition with games like Splatoon, The First Freedom Planet, Sonic Mania, Persona 5.
What?
With all of that said, though, that just about wraps up my thoughts on Freedom
Planet. That is high praise.
I cannot recommend this game enough, so if you're a fan of 2D platformers by any stretch of the term, this game is an absolute must-play. And honestly, I don't even think the first game is required reading to play this one, though I'd still recommend you check it out. The game is currently available on Steam and itch.io for only $25, which is an absolute steal for as high quality of a game as this is. And hopefully...
And fun fact, the $25 price tag, we didn't really know what to price it at first, but like that was recommended by our publisher who's working on the console ports. They said that like for a game of this size and caliber, like $25 is generally a sweet spot for a lot of people. And it is $10 more than the original Freedom Planet, so I think that was a good call. FE2 music is incredible. Thank you, Arietti. Planning to make a remaster remake for Freedom Planet? I can't even think about the series right now because I'm taking a break. Very important for like a long-term project like this, because we worked on it for 7 years, and like for a project that long, you really want to like take like a nice break afterwards, just so that you don't get like perpetually burnt out, you know. So that's one of the reasons why not only are we working on publishing like other people's games just for like a change of pace, but I also want to make like a smaller game on the side, maybe do like game dev streams on my channel. Like I have an idea for maybe like a fan game I could work on and just like release for free when it's done, just so you can kind of see like my workflow and like my design philosophies. Yeah, I have an idea for something, but I just need a little more time to like put everything together and decide how I want to format stuff, because I guess I'm just a little concerned that like just watching me like type code would not be like very entertaining. So maybe I could do it to where like I save like certain parts of it for streaming, like specifically like level design or like pixel art or that kind of stuff. That might be fun. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be a learning process for all of us. The you know what 3 years ago was the main factor. Oh yeah, that too. That was also a big drain. But thankfully everybody on the team has been okay. I'm really happy to hear that. Struggle to find motivation to develop fan games personally. Yeah, like I still do too, to be honest, because like I almost feel like it's, how do I put this? Like in the past, whenever I thought about making like fan content for like, different IPs, like the original Freedom Planet started as like a Sonic fan game, like pretty famously. But like I pretty quickly turned it into like something original. But basically I always felt like it would be like a waste of energy, because it wouldn't like help me make a living, because I legally could not like sell it or make a profit off it. But I think I'm at the point in my life where I feel like there's more to art than survival. Like you think about like when you draw something, you know, like you're expressing something that matters to you, and I think like game design is like a form of art. So I think it might be fun just this once to see what happens when I make art for art's sake, you know? As long as I'm not like working myself too hard for something that is free, then I think it'll be pretty fun. Kind of a good way to express myself, you know. I think I think I'm like finally getting why people make fan games, you know. At the same time, one might feel they have no chance of standing out with an original creation compared to fan content. Yeah, like that's the other side of the coin too. Because well, I generally feel like have felt in the past like fan gaming would be like a waste, like compared to making original stuff. There are people who feel the exact opposite, where like they feel it would be a waste if they didn't make fan content. That's kind of interesting to think about. Fantastic Maxwell, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm of that camp, Arietti, where I feel like fan game content is a fantastic starting point to kind of wrap your head around the process, because you're building off of an existing concept that you're already familiar with, and then from there you can kind of like make it into your own thing. You know, that's kind of what happened with Freedom Planet. So that's a good way to put it, and that's why I'm very grateful for companies such as Sega and Capcom who have a more lenient attitude towards fan creations. But if I do make a fan game, I'm not even sure if it would be a Sonic or Mega Man fan game. I don't know. I'll think about it. Might have inspired Lake Fe- Oh yeah, Lake Feppard, for those who don't know, he is the creator of the Spark the Electric Jester series. I still need to play through that sometime. But yeah, like, I did kind of get the impression that he was kind of inspired by what I did with Freedom Planet to kind of make his own original stuff after he made the Sonic before the sequel and after the sequel games. If that's the case, then I'm very touched and honored. But yeah, Spark is so cool. Oh my gosh. It just like goes unnecessary. It's one of those games like Sonic Adventure 2 that just goes unnecessarily hard, at least from what I've seen. Like, I haven't spoiled myself too much on it, but like, I gotta try at some point just to see how the 3D games play. Oh yeah, Chrono Adventure 2. I haven't played Chrono Adventure. I've played before and after the sequel though. Oh yeah, Arietti, you're working on your own Sonic fan game, Emerald Ties, and then you have Prototype N, which like is kind of like a Mega Man-esque platformer, but it's cool to see like that original content. Oh yeah, Sage is coming up soon too, isn't it? Like this fall? Gosh, time flies. Yeah! So many cool games people are mentioning in the comments. Sage is around the corner. I need to get in on that again. I really loved streaming last year before I debuted, but now that I am SpaceyBat in my true form, I shall have an absolute blast with it. Oh wait! Who is that? Who is Morio Kishimoto? The name escapes me. Sometimes I'm not good at names. But whoever that is, it's cool that they played Spark the Electric Jester 3. Enjoyed it enough to start integrating its design philosophy into his games? Wow! Oh my gosh. That is the game developer from Sonic Team? Let's go! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for Lake. Let's go! Yeah, let me cap off this video real quick and then I'll hop over to the chatting screen. Come on.
Game launches on consoles later this summer, it'll get more of the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, we're still aiming for
thanks to everyone at
this
Galaxy
summer.
Trail for creating such an incredible experience.
But I will
can't
say,
wait to see where you guys go next.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. But I will say that a lot of what is in terms of the timetable for release, a lot of that is not in our hands. So I will keep everybody updated. But yes, thank you so much. I need to check the link so I can properly credit this person. Where's the link? Kit the Goddess, thank you so much for this review video. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your support. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I'm very glad for the constructive critique and feedback. Thank you so much. Let's go. All right, I shall hop over to chat now. After I close this, I gotta make sure I close it first. But okay, there we go. That's what a good video. That kind of like rekindled it. I'm so thankful for anyone who like does like video reviews or just like does like fan art or like just throws us a compliment, because that sort of thing just like keeps me going. That's kind of like rejuvenated my interest in game development and like, because you know it's my wheelhouse. It's just making me even more excited to kind of like lean more in that direction with my streams. Because so far I've just been like playing through some of the games that have influenced me as a developer, and I've mostly just like, that's pretty much what I've mostly been doing, just like playing my favorite game series. It's been so much fun, like not only revisiting them, but playing games in the series that I missed out on. Like a couple weeks ago, I played Sonic Heroes for the very first time, and okay, that was an experience. And I'll be playing Shadow the Hedgehog next week. I was gonna play it tomorrow, but I am very worn out right now, so I'm gonna postpone it. Yeah. Shadow the Hedgehog. I feel like I have a good feeling of that it's gonna be the kind of game where it's just gonna be like, it'll be jank, but in a very fun way. And then after that, I can play 06. Okay, Twitch Whisper, you said? Let me double check that. You foresee so many clips. Oh my gosh, yeah, I can tell that maybe it's like a clippable game. Okay, I have checked it, Rob. Okay. The alerts really love SJ1 invincibility. I know. Why do we keep rolling that? Why don't we roll like Sonic CD's music, or like, wait, no, we did before. Wish you could do stage streams again. That would be pretty cool. Oh, thank you for head pats as well. Freedom Planet was a big inspiration to you. Helped you develop your own series. Nice. Yeah, like, I feel like my sweet spot is 3 streams per week. Although there was a lot going on this week, so I think I could still do 4. If 1 or 2 of those are spaced apart. But this would have been like 4 consecutive streams. Happy birthday, thank you! Thank you so much. I'm level 35 now.
Shower thought. Galaxy Trail is a Formula 1 racing team, but with you designing the racing outfits.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I have thought about maybe like after my swimsuit outfit is done that I could make like a motorsport outfit. It might be a little too similar to my jacket. I don't know. Maybe I could do like a fantasy outfit too. Spacey Knight. Sonic 4 versus Freedom Planet 1? What? What? Well, I'm glad you said Freedom Planet 1 was better. You want to make a beat-em-up game that looks like it would have come out on the Sega Saturn, or a late 90s pixel-style arcade game? That sounds awesome! I hope you're able to put something like that into fruition. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like, some of the games we've published have been really cool too. Like, it's been such a joy working with Ashley, of Friend and Fairy, to bring, like, Grapple Force Arena and Pedal Crash to life. It was so good. You just got to the true ending of Freedom Planet 2? Congratulations! Thank you so much for playing us, Sleepy Fox. You want more? You love our games so much? Thank you! I love making games. Yeah. Yes, Ashley is one of the top coolest fairies ever. Matched only by Elfie, Faye, and Ambi, and all the other fairies that I know, who are very kind and sweet and caring. But yeah, it's been an absolute honor working with Ashley on those games. Personally, want to take from various things that you either saw or happened in your life. That's a good way to do, because there's a saying when it comes to like writing novels. It's that you should write what you know, but I think that applies to games too. And I think that's why we should be allowed to make fan games as a starting point, at least. Because like you're basically writing what you know, but you know, in terms of like game development, and then you're kind of able to like put your own twist on it. Yeah, I've never played Sonic 4 before, but I have no motivation to from what I've heard and seen about it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for Sonic Superstars. Like, I want to get Parsec working and then bring a few friends together so we can play co-op together. I think it's going to be so much fun. I wonder if 2 players can pick the same character, or if everyone has to pick separate characters. And if you can play as the same character, I wonder if they're colored differently, like if they have different like colors, like. Because Sega in the past, generally, when they have recolor Sonic, it's usually just different shades of blue. You want to play as a party of 4 Tails? That would be awesome. Tails party. If that is not possible in the game, then I'm sure there will be mods that make it possible. Goes kind of everywhere in terms of what influenced you. That's honestly awesome, real person. Because like, I think like one of the reasons that like, I know like Freedom Planet is compared to Sonic a lot, but we incorporated like a lot of different inspirations, you know, like Mega Man and Gunstar Heroes and Rise Star and Rocket Knight and a whole bunch of other things. The more influences you have, the more like unique it ends up being. It's kind of ironic, but that's kind of how the creative process is sometimes. Yeah. Mods that add new characters, those would be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for like a modding community to spring up around Sonic Superstars. I bet it'll be like really like difficult to make custom stages for it, but I'm sure somebody will try and then succeed. Second episode was great. Oh, you mean for Sonic 4? Okay. I've heard it's an improvement, but it seems like kind of like it seems like Sonic Heroes Light in terms of like the sort of things that kind of like push my buttons as a player. When will FP get DLC already? Freedom Planet, yeah, it won't get DLC. Like, Freedom Planet, like, in its base form was a nightmare to port to consoles because we created the game in ClickTeam Fusion, and you kind of need, like, a third-party, like, porter in order to, like, transfer that stuff over. And in the porting process, there were so many, like, special case exceptions in order to get certain things working the way that we wanted to. That I don't see it happening, unfortunately. But I am very grateful that we were able to get it released on PC, Mac, Linux, Wii U, PS4, and Switch. It was quite awesome. Happy birthday, Bat. Thank you, waifu! Got anything special planned? We're gonna have cake in a little bit. Go guess. Praise Wagogus. Waifu, thank you so much for the gifted subbies. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you all so much for your support today. You have made this birthday extra special. It's been nice to have another Chatty Betty stream. It's been a long time since I had one of these. Where we just talk about games and making games and playing games and Sonic and Freedom Planet. Chat's my bads. Oh, also, Sammy and Paige have arrived. Paige is getting comfy on the doggy bed, and Sammy is rolling around on the carpet next to her for some reason. Oh, for those who are not familiar with my dogs, I will find a photo of them.
What the dog doing?
What the dog doing? Okay, so This is Sammy. Whoopie whoopie. Sammy is a tricolor Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. And his 6th birthday, I believe, is in November. Oh my gosh, I love him. I also love his sister, who's Paige. And she is also a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. She's so sweet. But she's also a Barkosaurus Rex, to where she will bark at the wind. And if any car so much as pulls in our driveway and quickly goes out, she will still bark her head off. So sometimes you will hear her in my streams. If it's just her barking, I don't pay attention to it, but if it's her and Sammy, then it's probably somebody approaching the door. Yeah! Paige. And I love how Cavalier King Charles Spaniels are the kind of dog where they look like a completely different dog when they're upside down. So this is what she's like upside down. She'll do this sometimes when she wants belly rubs, and then I'll just rub her belly. Yeah. Paige. She's so cute. But yes, she is, her 3rd birthday is next month. Maybe I could do something for it, depending on what day it falls under. I think it's the 17th. I'd have to double check. I gotta double check my calendar. But if it is on the 17th, then that would be a Monday. So I usually don't stream on Mondays, but whatever. Could still have a Page day. I always picture them as big dogs when they bark. Forgot that they're just little fellas. Yeah, like Samuel has a surprisingly deep voice for how small he is, but he is a bit bigger than his sister. But Paige has got like the kind of pitch you would accept. Don't do Mondays. Yeah, like I feel like I'm in the zone best when I'm alone in the household, and there are people here on Monday. So I generally stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Occasionally on Wednesday. So Sammy is like Pika, but reverse small, in a very manly voice. Yeah. I'm surprised how manly his Sammy's voice got as he got older. Yeah, maybe someday. Rivals of Aether stream. I haven't played that game. I'm not sure how like hardcore it is in terms of like competitiveness and like how much reflexes you need with the controls, but it might be fun to play that like one time, yeah, and maybe like check out some interesting mods for it, because somebody made a really cool mod that put Nira Lee in Rivals of Aether. Why don't I show that off real quick? I'm gonna see if I can find the link for it, because somebody posted it in the Discord server. Where did it go? That's not the correct. I'll just search for Nira's name. There it is. This is really cool, like the way that you'll see. Mom. Whoops. Yeah, this is when I was playing F-Zero GX yesterday. What a stream to jump into. What a video to jump into. Okay. Ba 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 ba. It's so cool how they redrew her to match the other Rivals characters. And her Freedom Planet 2 moveset works like surprisingly well. Translated over to like a platform fighter like this. Oh, was that Pit? Nice! Wait. What was that? Was that Cassie dabbing? So cool! Oh cool, she got a lilac palette. Is that Amogus? Was that Amogus? Okay, I really should play this sometime just to check out the weird character mod. That's so cool! Thank you so much for bringing my daughter to Rivals of Aether. What? Why? Why? Oh yeah, the Sans mod too. And I remember watching a video of an absolutely insane character called Ronald McDonald. It's like a Ronald. You just play as Ronald McDonald for some reason, but he's absolutely cracked. He has like amazing like frame data, and that's just in his base form. There's a golden Ronald that is like almost impossible to for a human to beat. You still get war flashbacks from Ronald. Yeah, I think most Rivals players do who play with mods. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I like how, like, Rivals of Aether Workshop has basically turned it into Mugen in terms of the absolutely insane boss fighters that people have made. I also, like, apparently somebody made a Rivals of Aether Workshop mod that adds Dracula as a boss to Versus mode. And apparently custom characters can be coded to have custom dialogue when fighting Dracula specifically, and the person who made the Nira mod said that she talks about like putting him under arrest if you fight Dracula as her. so that would be something cool to try out. Yeah. Okay. I gotta remember the. Okay, Amber was the one who made the Nira mods. I think one of the people. So thank you so much, Amber. Ronald's a recurring meme character in Mugen too. Oh, okay. Oh, Rivals 2, yeah. I'm really excited for that as well. Like, I remember like the gameplay footage they showed off, and it looks really unique and interesting. Like, it's not just a Smash clone. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Dun, dun. You love making the joke of Nira calling you mother. like she is the one playable character of the four that like was made 100% by me. So yeah, I consider her my daughter. Yeah. Yeah, they put a lot of love into it, Alex. Oh my gosh. Rivals 2 is adding ledge grabs, shields, and grabbing, which makes it more Smash-like. Oh, that's kind of interesting. But it does look like a really cool game. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so my voice is starting to give out again, but I'll take the rest of the week off. I'm gonna cancel my Shadow stream tomorrow. I'm gonna I'll instead play Shadow the Hedgehog next week. I think maybe on Tuesday. I know there's a Sonic Central thing happening tomorrow, but I'm just gonna watch that offline. But yes, thank you all so much for making my birthday extra special. Thank you to everyone who was gifted subs and like hung out with me as we talked about like one of the subjects that I'm most passionate about in this world. So thank you all very much. And thank you so much for our raiders, our lovely raiders. Your community seems very wonderful.
We have a new record!
Milestones! We have a new record! Yeah. Thank you all so much. Alright, let's see if there's somebody we can raid. Happy birthday. Thank you, Lancelot. Thank you. Alright, okay, there are a few people online. Ooh, okay. Mango just started streaming. Maybe we can jump in there in a few minutes. I'll wait a little bit because, she just started. She's still on the starting soon screen. But yeah, like for those who don't know, Mango is one of my dear VTuber friends. She's a bird, like literally a bird. it's so good. She's so good. Burbs. But yes, she's a wholesome say so VTuber just like me, and her wheelhouse lately has been like Monster Hunter games, which I think is really neat. Like she kind of has like this inside joke in her community where like she'll be like, I'm not gonna play Monster Hunter today. I'm gonna play Monster Hunter. I know you're all expecting Monster Hunter and maybe Monster Hunter, but sorry to disappoint you. It's Monster Hunter today. Yeah, just like stuff like that. I want to play Monster Hunter 2 sometime. I'm eyeballing Monster Hunter Rise, but I've heard that that's a game that you really want to like play with a party if you don't like the grinding parts. So I'll wait until I can like play as a group. I played Monster Hunter Stories 2, a little bit of that. I like the angle that has where you're not like hunting the monsters, you're taming them. I think that's more my wheelhouse. But you know, who would play a Monster Hunter game and not expect to hunt monsters? Rise is better with a group? Okay. The power of Wham is so strong that it got out of the game. Nice. But yeah, maybe it could be something that like I could like open up to the Discord server. I don't know, I'll think about it. Like, I'm still kind of like new into like setting up online multiplayer games. So it'll take some thought, but it's something that it's on my bucket list. Monster Hunter World? Okay, what's the difference like between like World and Rise? In terms of like how they're handled in the gameplay and stuff. Oh yes, I do have a Discord server. Let me grab a link. It's my speed zone. Let's edit invite link. Wait, no. Cause I have Nitro, so it should show up as just my name. Oh yeah, thank you Stream Elements. Oh, I mean thank you Alex for yeah, thank you. I forgot that there was a shortcut for that. But yeah, that's where my Discord server is. You are more than welcome to stop by and we'll just like, you know, talk about video games or movies or whatever. And we sometimes share like work in progress, artwork that we're working on or whatever. Or like in development things. It's a pretty chill place. You know, they have different mechanics. World is more cinematic exploration and story focused. And Rise is more arcadey. Oh, okay, that's good to know. I might try and go more for the cinematic the more cinematic approach. Yeah, like I guess I'll see if I can like organize like a hunting party for Rise, and if I can't, then I'll play World. Well, you gotta go. Yeah, I'm gonna be heading off now too. Let us set up our raid. Come on. Okay, I think that's how. Okay, yeah. There's our raid message for those who are subbed to me. But yes, without further ado, I shall bid you all adieu. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. It's been wonderful. You made my birthday extra special, and I hope I made hanging out with everyone. I hope we made your day extra special too. So thank you all so much, and an extra special thank you to our raiders. It was very nice to meet you all. I hope we can hang out again soon. And but yeah, that's a wrap. Bye bye. Bye bye.